And hello and welcome to the OB Builders Cup Series live from Daytona. 105 laps on the board here tonight. I'm Sheldon Atkins, joined in the booth by Tommy Gossett and Austin Derbyshire. And Tommy, tell me about the anticipation and the excitement leading into Daytona tonight.
Yeah, it's always a big deal when you come to Daytona in any series, but especially a league so competitive as OB Builders. It's an opportunity for people you don't normally see to run up front and get some good points. As you know, this league operates on the old point system. So a race like this matters more than ever.
Absolutely. And as we get a look at the points here real quick, do know that Sean Conklin is still up at the top of the board over Justin Levine. And every second and every moment of this race is going to matter. I mean, we're going to have a lot of phases here throughout the race where people are going to be trying to save fuel. But one incident can ruin a lot of guys' chances at a championship here, as we do get a look at the standings here. With Sean Conklin up on top right now by 161 points over Justin Levine. Brandon Pasalakwa sitting comfortably there in third place with a 94-point advantage over Patrick Gitter. And Derek Heitman rounding out the top five. Anyways, the cars have taken to the grid here. Tommy, what can you tell me? What's going to be most beneficial for these drivers here this evening?
The most beneficial thing is going to be able to find your friends. You got several different groups of teammates in here. It's going to be getting linked up with those guys. As we saw last night in NIS, it is so difficult to generate those runs on that outside lane. So as always, the first key here is find your friends. Second key of the race is to execute on pit road. With this being a 106-lap race, I do believe it's going to be a three-stopper, so you have got to make sure you execute in and out of pit road. Make a mistake, you're going to go to the back, and if you go to the back, there's a good chance you're going to get caught up in the big one, which leads to our third key of don't die in the big wreck.
Yeah, and executing on pit road is going to be so paramount, too, with this package, being a little bit more difficult to generate runs than what we're used to with the Cup car here. It's going to be very easy to lose the draft, but as we get a look here at our picks, I'm going to have to go with that three machine tonight. I'm going to have to go with Lou Christian because I just feel like the three car at Daytona, man, the story writes itself, and we've seen how aggressive he can be here on the super speedways. How about you, Tommy?
I'm going to go with that 27 machine of Roger Ears Pierce. He's a great plate racer. He got robbed out of a Daytona 500 here in NIS last year when he got DQ'd across the line. So he's always running up front in these things. So I'm going to go with him to get a little bit of redemption.
And the man on the truck right now, Austin Derbyshire, going to go with the 97 machine, Reese Ironjaw Schaefer. Good pick. He was pretty good here last night in NIS, and he's been on a hot streak since he's come back to sim racing here. Anyway, we're going to take a quick look at our starting grid. Starting on the pole tonight, it's going to be the 17 machine of Paul Gallimore with Brandon Pasalakwa starting his outside in second. Starting in row two, it's going to be Joshua Hyatt with Greg Carr in fourth. Going off the grid here in fifth place is going to be Chris Davis with Adam Benefield in sixth, followed by seventh place Chris Vincent and Joseph Causey in P8. And then running at your top 10 here is going to be Chris Hudson and Jose Medina.
Taking the inside of row 6 is the 54 machine of Randy Mullins, followed by Joseph Galata on his outside. And 13th, we've got Rogers Pierce. And then in 14th, Paul Ferdiani, followed by John Bender and Tim Wortman in 16th. In 17th, we've got the 26 machine of Paul Hill, followed by Corey Moore on his outside, with the 3 car of Lou Christian in P19. And on his outside is Alex Carr.
And starting 21st, we're going to have Alex Coffey with Chris Crosby in 22nd. 23rd place is going to be Richard Kleinman with Reese Schaefer in 24th. Starting 25th this evening is going to be Chris D. Johnson with Brian Johnson in 26th. Then running out your top 30 here is going to be Sean Conklin, Patrick Gitter, Matt DiCiani, and Justin Levine.
31st is Daniel Wiles, followed by Bryce Rainier. And then Nicholas Isaacs and Austin Edstrom are rolling off 33rd and 34th. Followed by Randy Belk and Craig Johnson to complete this field here.
I'll tell you what, I see a lot of our heavy super speedway hitters starting a little bit further in the back here. It's, this is very much an any man's race here when we come to these super speedways. The draft is the great equalizer. These corners don't really have to worry so much about how much rake you have in the car, how much downforce you got built into the thing. You just worry about having a car that can hold the pedal and stay on it the longest out of anybody and have the momentum to carry and make moves. And, a lot of these guys, two big teams out here, a lot of friendships been made here in the recent weeks. And we're going to see who does it the best.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, like you say, Sheldon, to see who works with who and who doesn't want to work with who. Because on the flip side of that coin of friends, you got people who don't want to work with each other. So we may see people getting sucker holed or hung out to dry in any way you shake it out.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of long-standing rivalries here in the OB Builders Cup Series because, I mean, hey, the OB Builders Cup Series, this is NIS and A Open. These are the best of the best here in the top split. You know, the strength of field for this race, probably pretty ridiculous. I don't have that number offhand right now. But you're basically looking at what, you know, the NIS top split field was Wednesday night.
Yeah, for sure. That's why these guys all get together, because they wanted an opportunity to race against each other again, and this gives them the perfect opportunity to do so.
As the lights are out on the pace car, and these guys get ready to work themselves into the OB Builders restart zone to take the green flag. Paul Gallimore leading a pack of 36 hungry cars into the zone. The green flag is out, and both lanes getting through the gears pretty smooth here so far. Outside line starting to form a little bit, but the inside line packed very well. But here comes a huge run from Brandon Pasalacqua, basically on his own here with a little bit of help from the 25 machine, a car. And Pasalacqua is going to clear down into turn one and take over the lead.
We already got a car up on the outside wall here going through 1 and 2. Wonder if he's choosing to go to the back or if something's happened mechanically underneath that machine.
I'm pretty sure that is. And Medina, a little bit of contact with the fence there, but I do think, based on him not trying to cut back in the line here, I think this is just put myself in the back, try to keep the car in one piece, and find a couple friends back here and work myself up when it matters most.
Yeah, and you know, that's always a risk here at these super speedways. You saw people do that back during the two-car tango days, especially in NASCAR. I can't remember who said, I believe it was Jimmy Johnson. He said, I've got as good of a chance of being wrecked up front as I do in the back, so I might as well stay up front. I, as a driver, choose to stay up front.
Yeah, I do a bit of the same too. I found, especially with this package here, you know, once you get in the back, it is so difficult to work your way back through, because what you really need to do is for, you know, 20 guys to just leave the inside lane, you know, the middle open for you to work yourself up. And you're not really going to find that. You're more likely going to wreck yourself trying to make a big move to get up there to the front. So I as well just find it best to stay up at the front of the pack and pray that I don't get bumper hooked. As we roll across the line here, out of turn 4, across the line, second lap of the night, going to be led by Brandon Pasalacqua. Outside line, not really formed up. Benefield giving everything he can to the back of the 25 machine of Greg Carr. But they just don't have the pace they need right now, not formed up well enough. And it's going to be a dying battle for most of these guys tonight, just trying to make something happen in that outside lane.
Yeah, especially this early. I think a lot of these guys, unlike NIS last night, are going to temper their pushes here. And in this package, you've really got to have that car pushing you, on the third car pushing you, as we see Greg Carr go down to the inside lane there.
Greg Carr comes down to the bottom lane, and Randy Mullins wasn't necessarily expecting that, I don't think. She had to check up, went under the line there. But everybody giving each other plenty of room here to get it back in the right direction.
I think we're going to see that outside lane start to move now, with Benefield leading and Causey in the middle with Roger Pierce on his bumper. No matter if it's lap 5 or lap 105, Roger's going to be right there to do what he needs to do to try to get that 27 Caterpillar machine up in the front.
I think another good car to keep your eyes on too here this evening, that 43 machine, Chris Hudson, notorious underdog here in the OB Builders Cup Series, always finding himself up at the front when it matters the most on the mile and a halves and the short tracks. Really good road racer, but I feel like tonight, you know, with the draft being the equalizer, I feel like Chris Hudson could have a little bit of extra to show underneath the hood.
As we come around to work lap 4, going on to lap 5, Brandon Pasalacqua is still leading the way, but we have Adam Benefield starting to make a charge on that outside line, Sheldon. He's got Joseph Causey all over him, and he's drawing even with the 6 car down here in 1 and 2.
Benefield with a huge push on the outside line, coming from the nose of Joseph Causey. Huge run, but I don't think it's going to be enough to clear. They really need to get a little more aggressive with that side drive, but a huge shot from the 27 machine of Roger Pierce is going to solidify these two up here at the front. And here comes Benefield ducking down to the inside. Now is Causey and Pierce going to have enough momentum to carry it up as well?
It's going to be interesting, because with Benefield moving down, that checks up the progress of the outside, but you can see from this onboard shot here of Benefield looking backwards into the pack, they're just already fading. They don't have that third car right behind Roger that Roger was acting as when we saw Benefield get up here to the front.
The third car in line for them right now is the 66 machine of Paul Ferniani. And just kind of riding right now, being cautious here in the early stages. Not getting too aggressive with the back bumper of the 27 machine. Benefield also another one of those guys that could very well walk away with it tonight too. I mean, you think of the long tracks, the 2 mile and above. I mean, you think of Adam Benefield. And I don't know about you, Tommy, but I've had my tail whooped by that 83 machine quite a few times at Michigan, Pocono, and a few of the super speedways back in the day when he was on other teams.
Yeah, I think anybody who's been around for over 5+ years has really had their tail whooped by Adam. And, you know, like I was saying last week, he's always one of those people who is sneaky. He sneaks up from the 20s to the 15s, the 10s, and at the end of the race, he's always in the top 5. So see him up here this early, it might be bad news for the rest of the field.
Absolutely. So it looks like those Team Conti cars have a lot to show here this week. Everybody super follow up here. A little bit of a breakaway up at the front of the pack. Joseph Causey still trying to make something happen with Roger Pierce. But they still just don't have that third car in tow like they need. They're not building those runs they're looking for to get up to the front.
Yeah, that third car is crucial. It's always been big, but with this new draft package we got on these cars, it's even more important. Is when Roger, as the pusher, goes to lift off the throttle to get air to his nose to be able to push longer, you got to have that third car in line to push you right back up there. Because we see him get detached here and Causey shoot ahead. That's just going to kill that outside line's momentum. 66 needs to be on Roger, push him through the corner to get him back to Causey, and then the 66 will cool on the back straightaway.
See, I found this week for me that the opposite actually seems to work best. And I actually got pointed in the right direction by a good friend of mine. The best way to approach it, at least in his opinion as well as mine, after trying it through practice, is to just side draft, get the lead car to side draft the ever-loving snot out of that inside line through the corner, so the guy in second can kind of lift and get a little bit of air to the nose, and just send it down the straightaway.
Yeah, that's another way you can look at it, especially if you're not very confident with that third car in line. But the best way and the safest way to do it, because, you know, with the inherent risk of side drafting, that bottom car comes up a little, you come down a little bit, we're going to have a big wreck. And especially here this early, none of these guys are willing to risk that. So that third car is even more crucial at this stage of the race.
I'll tell you, you know me, I've always been over-aggressive. So you wouldn't expect anything less than a play track now, would you, Tommy?
I wouldn't, and you wouldn't expect anything less out of me, would you, Sheldon?
Absolutely not. If it came down to the two of us coming to the checkered flag for one of these things, I'm pretty sure both of us would be in the catch fence.
Yeah, third place would win.
Absolutely. A nice clean break up here at the front of the field for Benefield. As we see Gallimore looked like he was going to peek out there for a second. Falls back in line, though, behind Brandon Pasalacqua. Looks like some new paint on that 6 machine of Brandon, by the way.
Oh, yeah, we have that neon look rocking. At least not, maybe not neon, more so chroma. Looks good here under these Daytona lights.
Absolutely, with the big OB Builders sticker right on the hood of the car. Nice change of pace here from Brandon Pasalacqua. That's always been one of them cleaner cars that in the field, too. You know, one of the more recognizable ones.
For sure. As we see Josh Hyatt trying to work both lanes here. It's interesting what he's trying to do. I'm not sure if he's just trying to stall that outside line's momentum or if he's looking to make a move to try to get the lead himself.
He might be trying to get a little bit of air to the nose because I've noticed he's been really consistently close to the back of the 17 machine of Gallimore. And, you know, there is the opportunity for these guys to run different gearings this week, too. And, you know, if you're running a little bit higher of a gear, possibility of cooking that engine temp just a little bit sooner when you get to the back bumper. I mean, I imagine it'd be fast if you were out in front. But, you know, mired in traffic, probably a bit of a disadvantage. Because I know we used to have touched that as an issue with the B car back in the day.
Yeah, and especially with the outlets being so small on these cars here, because NASCAR really wanted to discourage the two-car tango from becoming a thing, so they narrowed that radiator gap just a little bit more this time around. And I do think iRacing has modeled that, so getting air is a crucial thing.
NASCAR is consistent in not letting us have fun at these super speedways anymore.
I know what we should do. We should add another fin to the roof.
You know what? How about we make pillars, A-pillars, just open up, and when they break off, when they flap open, it's the end of the race for somebody. Because I got a feeling we're going to see a little bit of that here.
Thank goodness that's not modeled in iRacing.
Yeah. Although I do wish that we had the hood flap physics. That'd be so cool.
I wish we had the choose cone, personally.
Choose cone would be cool, but man, every time I come to the super speedways, I'm just like, man, I want to see those hood flaps doing their thing when you get up into a low pressure zone on the back of somebody.
For sure. As I've been watching through the back of the pack, it's just kind of been stagnant up here in the front. Somebody who's trying to make a little bit of headway to get up here to the front is the 10 of Sean Conklin. He started kind of tail end Charlie here tonight, way further back than we usually see that 10 machine. He's just slowly and methodically working his way up a car at a time. I've seen him switch lanes a time or two, make up a row, drop back down, go up top again to make up another row. He's just slowly picking them off. I think he'll be a factor here by the time we make pit stops.
And if you look on his outside too, another car that's we talk about being really good on these super speedways as well. That 19 machine of Justin Levine working that outside line. He's up from pretty far back in the field too. His position on the grid this evening was 30th place. So both him and Conklin going for the back to front challenge and trying to figure out which one's going to get there first. Right now, looking like Conklin as he works that inside lane.
Yeah, with these two being 1-2 in points, I wonder if it was a little gentleman's thing where they said, let's just save our save what we've got for the race here so we don't show anything off to the rest of the guys. Oh, a little bobble there out of DeCiani as that 9 car Chris Crosby gets out of line. I do believe DeCiani lifted for him to get back down, and Levine wasn't expecting a little just squiggly wiggly bump and continued on down here.
Bit of a check up, but everybody racing themselves for it pretty well here. It's got to be, a little concerned when we have moments like that where a car pops out of line because, that typically is an image preceding a very unfortunate event.
Typically it is, Joe. Typically it is. But with these guys, I believe in them to make a little bobble here and there and be able to keep it going.
I've been wrecked by a few of these guys this week. I don't know.
That's why I've been running Milwaukee's. We see Gitter go 3 wide. He's looking to make a move and get up to the front here.
Gitter's not one to want to stay back there mired in traffic for too long. He's just getting a huge shove from the one machine of Nicholas Isaacs. But that outside line, that third groove, man, it just doesn't do much of anything here this week. And
no, it doesn't.
Tuck back in line.
For the third line to be effective, the front 2 lines basically have to be 1 and 2 have to be side by side like a pace lap to get anything out of that third lane.
It's been pretty miserable compared to because I got spoiled a couple weeks ago. I ran a bunch of Gen 4 at Talladega. You want to talk about best package that iRacing has ever seen for super speedways? I'd tell you, I'd put that up there above the 550 package we had back in 2019, 2020.
Yeah, that was definitely the best draft package I've ever been on the sim for. I really like the old drafting package on these where it's just pure chaos every lap, whereas outside and everybody was making Chase Elliott-like moves, if anybody remembers back to that dual race.
Oh my God. And Darby says the 2018 monster truck package was the best.
I could not disagree more.
That was yeah, it was so fun having the front end of the car, jack 10 feet in the air, max camber on everything because camber thrust was still very much a thing. And then we'd come to Daytona and Talladega and run single file on the bottom.
Oh, as we see Josh
contact right here.
Hyatt
Slides up into the 88 machine of Joseph Causey. Both drivers keeping it pointed in the right direction, though. That could have been huge coming into turn 3, though, because once they get sideways coming into the corner, there is absolutely no way for the field to brace themselves for that.
Yeah, absolutely none whatsoever. As we're coming up here, just completed lap 17 and we're working lap 18. We're about halfway through this fuel run already, Sheldon. It's going to be interesting to see if we see anybody back in the pack like a Sean Conklin or a Justin Levine make some really aggressive moves to try to get some track position before they come down to, like we said earlier, find their friends. As I believe 2 people are making a move at the outside line. I'm sorry, I can't see what car that is. I know it's the 33 of Chris Benson. Notice the 33 of Chris Vincent working behind the car, the Chris Davis machine there. They're already starting to make a little bit of a run here, Sheldon.
Yeah. Just guys trying to get up here to the front, knowing that we're coming to the end of the fuel run here, just trying to get themselves in position here to make sure that they can stay tucked into this draft when we get down to the end of it. Because
and now,
like
here you're going
about
I'm sorry,
some of those
Sheldon.
guys. Oh, you're fine, buddy. But as you were talking a little bit ago, some of those guys further in the back, Justin Levine, Sean Conklin, Edstrom, guys back there, they want to get up to the front of this pack because the only way to ensure that you don't fall off of the draft and end up getting lapped is to be up at the front when it's time to pit.
Yeah, and for Roger, he really needs Sean to get on up here because, there's only 2 of them Victory 1 machines here tonight, or even Victory 1 affiliated machines. No Derek Heitman, no Dylan Banks.
Oh, Conklin up to the outside, almost makes a little bit of contact with Brian Johnson. Johnson tags to the fence and falls back in line in front of the 41 machine of Bryce Rayner. Rayner, great heads-up move there to keep the outside lane flowing and just, letting Johnson get back in line because that could have been a really dicey moment.
Yeah, but you know what? They kept it all calm and together, and I think Sean's going to try to go forward here. And now you're seeing on that outside line the benefit of having that 3rd and 4th car in line pushing the crap out of the front too. Because you see Causey, as we see Chris Vincent go really wayward there. I think he was just trying to get some air, but I halfway expected Causey to try to take advantage of that and split him 3. But as I was saying, these 3rd and 4th cars pay such dividends here, and you can see Roger and Causey by themselves weren't able to make it up much past the 2 car of Josh Hyatt. Now the 74 machine's already up to 17.
Tell you one thing, though, if I'm Davis up there and leading that outside line, I am nervous every time that 33 machine gets to my back bumper. And the reason being, nothing to do with Chris Vincent, the driver. Chris doing a great job up here. But if there is a likelihood for somebody to get bumper hooked here at Talladega, or at Daytona or Talladega, it is typically somebody with that front clip on the Chevrolet. That pivot point still very much there. And if you just slide across that bumper the wrong way, man, it can hook you around quicker than you can even blink.
Yeah, if I'm especially on the outside line, because you have more wheel into it, and you're trying to not only but control your lane, but get the side draft off the cars inside. I really always want to have a Ford behind me, preferably, or a Toyota. Those Chevys are menaces to have behind you.
Yeah, the Ford, absolutely the best, but it feels like the Ford support here is few and far between, as most drivers, opting for either Chevy or Toyota. Always been rumblings about the Toyota being a little bit better at some things than others, and unfortunately, Ford just kind of got left out of the mix on it.
Only got 2 Fords in the field. I know one of them is the 43 machine up here, but I don't know who the other one is.
Chris Hudson and
18 machine.
Also, yep.
Alex Carr. We got all these petty schemes in here. It's hard for me to differentiate sometimes.
I had to remember which car it was that was in a Ford.
We've got a car and a car
of them
with an STP paint scheme. Sheldon, it's very hard to keep track of.
And then you've got Hyatt out there in the other matching paint scheme in a Chevy. But I mean, that's kind of on brand for, Petty, because, I'm sure you remember back in the day, Adam Petty driving a Chevrolet while the rest of Petty Enterprises was driving Pontiacs.
Well, Sheldon, I was only 2 when Adam Petty sadly passed away, so I don't remember that. As we see the 74 machine making a charge up here for the lead with a 33 of Chris Vincent, giving him a huge shot. We're going to see if Chris Davis can lead this lap over Adam Benefield. It's going to be a dragger. Says we're wrecking in the back.
Big hard contact.
Got Matt DeCiani involved. I saw the 98 machine of Paul Hill spinning. Someone made hard contact with that outside wall. I believe that was the double zero machine of Chris Johnson. Yeah.
It's going to be a rough break for some of these guys, but it doesn't look like too many cars got torn up there. A little bit of right front damage from Matt DeCiani. Chris Johnson gets the worst of it, though, absolutely, with that hard head-on hit, as well as it looks like the 20 machine of Alex Coffey's pretty torn up.
Yeah, and sadly, your pick, Lou Christian, was involved in that too, Sheldon. I don't think he came out much worse for the wear here. It's a long pace lap. Whatever he had, he'll be able to get fixed up.
Oh yeah, and the damage mod has been pretty weird this week. See the 00 machine
Ooh,
goes up
DeCiani
to the
was filling a
top.
hole that was there, and the 00 didn't expect him to have that big of a run, and it just all accordioned up there at the back of the field.
And you're going to run into moments like that, especially when we get to the end of these runs. Just everybody, the intensity ramps up, the desperation starts to get up there, and drivers making moves that they wouldn't normally make. So run on board with Alex Carr here. Now on board with DeCiani, and just tries to go up there and fill that middle, and that middle closed as quick as it opened.
Yeah, but
contacting Christian and a quick
thankfully
slide through the grass for DeCiani.
Thankfully, he was able to keep that thing straight and not. You know how easy it is to overcorrect in the outside wall here. Is the whole field is coming down pit road.
Everybody gonna come down pit road, get their fuel, probably make a quick adjustment or two, pull that spoiler down a little bit.
If I was a guessing man, I'd say that's going to be 55 seconds ish on that 3 machine. So the race off of pit road is run by Brandon Pasalacqua, Roger Pierce, Joseph Causey, Benefil, Chris Davis. Big winner out of that is Roger Pierce. Getting that track position he was so fighting for.
Gonna pick up a bunch of spots here on pit road. The only question is, do you take enough fuel there?
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely think he took enough fuel. I think everybody else may have took 4, and he either took 2 or none. But I would say with the fuel burn, I would say he had to take 2. We're getting word from the truck that he took none. So definitely interesting there from Roger.
Pasalacqua leads down the backstretch here. This is a moment to catch our breath here too. You know, it's been not the most exciting Daytona action that we've ever had, but it's been pretty dicey up here at the front of the pack. That outside line doing a great job holding serve with the inside here, which is definitely a stark contrast to what we saw last night in NIS.
Yeah, and I definitely expected that outside line not to hold its own as much here tonight as it did in NIS. I'm kind of surprised. I expect these guys here in this league to try to single file out and just log some laps.
No, they knew that they were on TV tonight. They decided, you know what, let's put on a show here for everybody watching at home. Also, I think a part of it too is everybody's just tired of running single file this week. You know, I can imagine it's pretty boring having to do that for 105 laps, let alone all week long as we've done in A Open and NIS.
Yeah, it's been, from what I've heard and what I've seen, it's been an absolute nightmare here this week. I've never heard any more. Of course, you always have the post Daytona and Talladega depression of, oh, my safety rating, oh, my I rating. But the racing itself is fun. This week, I've heard nothing but the racing has been terrible, and it's not worth the loss.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. I mean, it's not as bad, as. See, what year did you start, Tommy?
I started in 2017, late 17.
Yeah, so we both went our first seasons. We both went through that terrible draft package on the Gen 6 together.
That thing was awful.
It is not as bad. It's not as bad as that package was, but it's not far off.
Yeah, that other pack, at least you got side draft on this one. That other package had no side draft, and it was literally qualify up front, stay up front.
Just run the qualifying setup in the race too. Just take the tape off it.
Yeah, basically.
It was no different.
The good old days of having tape.
Oh my God, I missed the tape.
Especially in the Xfinity car.
Oh man, get down to a green-white checkered, come down pit road, tape the thing solid, pump the pressures up, and just dog through the field. As the lights are out on the pace truck here, working ourselves through 3 and 4. These guys getting ready to cycle back into the OB Builders restart zone, get this thing back underway. Question is this going to be as intense as the initial start, or are we just going to kind of lull here for a little bit? Had a couple cars get wrecked in the back.
I think it'll stay the same because nobody up front got affected from it. As the pace truck is off and approaching the OB Builders restart zone. As Brandon Pastelak was getting on the loud pedal with the green flag, he's going to pull out to a little bit of advantage over Joseph Causey and Roger Pierce. But Roger Pierce has got that 83 machine stacked right up on him. I think that outside line is going to have a big run here, Sheldon, down into turn 1.
They stacked on, but they were a little off center here coming through the tri-oval. It's going to hurt the momentum coming into turn 1. The inside line now stacked 3 deep up at the front with Chris Vinson making it 4. And here comes Randy Mullins. They're all wadded together in the inside lane. A huge run down the back straightaway. And that's basically all but going to evaporate any advantage that the outside line could try to pull.
Yeah, it looked like Roger had that car in R for restart, but it was an R for reverse because he went backwards in a hurry, allowing 7 cars to get clear there on the inside.
See Benefield trying to lock bumpers here through 3 and 4, try to stop the bleeding a little bit, get these guys to a point where they can make something happen. Good run through the tri-oval for Roger Pierce and Benefield, but not going to be enough to get up to the front of the pack.
Yeah, but they're slowly chipping away back at it. They've managed to get back up to Chris Vinson here in 1 and 2. And I think they're going to get to the outside of Chris Davis by the time they get onto the back straightaway, which they're already there before they make it off turn 2. Huge run by Roger and Adam Benefield here. Adam is locked onto that back bumper, that 27 Caterpillar machine, as we see Roger bail off down to the inside.
Yeah, the outside line absolutely moving now. A bunch of fast cars leading that top line. Roger Pierce up at the lead now. Chris Hudson locking bumpers through 3 and 4 with the 83 machine of Adam Benefield. And they're going to be dead even here at the start-finish line as Paul Gallimore tries to get to the back bumper of the 43 machine to give a little bit of a helping hand.
I just really like the position that inside line's in right now. You got 3 very fast, very aggressive plate racers in Roger Pierce, Brandon, and Joseph Causey. I think that inside line's going to be hard to overcome at this point.
It's definitely going to be difficult. And you see right now a little bit of an issue for the 43 machine, not able to line up with the back 83 of Benefield. Contact on the back straightaway almost sends Benefield sideways. Great save for Adam, but just hurting the momentum here. And Gallimore not able to get attached to the back bumper of the 43 machine and really pull these guys the way they need to go.
Yeah, and everybody was just staggered out there on that outside line. You're just going to see them go back and back. And as we saw a quick little glimpse of there in 3 and 4, Roger's doing a great job of getting air to the front of that 6 machine so that 6 can keep pushing him now. Try to push that outside lane clear. As we see it again, see Roger offsetting just that little bit. That's an advantage of clearing so much the outside line, being able to get air to your pusher. So they can not only push away now, but when that top lane inevitably gets back to them, they have the temperatures to get back in front.
Right now, that outside line has all but collapsed, as it's mainly just Chris Hudson and Benefield still trying to hold on to the dream. But no substantial help from behind. Only 5-6 cars up there on the outside line, really under a blanket with each other. It's a line. Lap 30, led by Roger Pierce. Still 74 of them left on tap, though.
To work down the back straightaway here at Daytona. 4-car looks like he's going to take a peek to the outside. He's indecisive there. That's not a good thing to be here at a plate track. He's indecisive. Ended up very bad.
That was almost contact between him and the 25 machine of Greg Carr. As he looks to the outside again, trying to bait these guys to go up with him.
But see, when they're baiting them, when they're trying to bait them like that, that gives that outside lane draft and pulls them back up to your outside. So I don't really get the point of doing that from a driver's perspective. But we see Gitter and Benefield trying to make a run here. You know, Gitter is always a good leader and a good pusher at these plate tracks. Not many come more than aggressive than that 21 machine. You always see him up front.
Absolutely. When you talk about a guy that you don't, point out much during the race, and you get to those last couple laps, it's no coincidence that he's hooked up right now with a guy like Adam Benefield, because these two are the masters of showing up late in these races and the closing laps and just potentially stealing away the entire race. Both very quiet. Gitter ducks down to the bottom, and it's going to cause a huge gaggle here.
Now I think we're going to see that outside line move. We got 4 very fast drivers who know exactly what they're doing here, and 2 teammates leading the line, the 87 of Austin Edstrom and the 19 of Justin Levine in that Grid Vision Mac Tools camera.
You got Edstrom and Levine up here on the outside line. I can't think of 2 drivers that have locked bumpers more throughout the 8 years I've been on this sim than these 2. A lot of miles these 2 cars have had together.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And as you can already see, that's paying off a little bit. They've only been lined up for about half a lap, and they're already 3-4 cars ahead of where they were in line.
Trying to keep the tandem alive here. Edstrom starting to charge forward to the outside now of Hyatt. These guys working themselves in the top 10. Gitter, really good push. The 3rd car in line. Gives a huge shove to the back of the 19 machine coming into turn 1. Right now, up at the front of the pack, though. These guys still have a long way to go if they want to get to the back of Roger Pierce. He's doing a masterful job working this inside lane, making sure that 6 machine has everything he needs to be able to shove them down the straightaway.
We come up here to work lap 30, ending lap 34, working lap 35. We've got a pretty stagnant inside line of Roger Pierce, Brendan Pastelacqua, Joseph Causey lead. So I think this is a good time to go to a break. What do you think, Sheldon?
Yeah, we will be back to bring you more of the racing action here on Grid Vision.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And welcome back to the OB Builders Cup Series here from Daytona. And, yep, seeing a little bit of a change up here at the front. The outside line was right up there in tow with the leaders. Now Joseph Causey coming up to work with his teammates up here at the front of the pack as he sent it out in front of Austin Edstrom. A little bit of contact here to 3 and 4. Edstrom trying to lock bumpers to push that 88 machine up to the front.
That run's going to be coming. That run's going to be coming quick, Sheldon, with all 3 of them lined up in the outside. Formidable.
Absolutely. And don't forget, you got Benefield up there. You've got Hudson. And
As we
Roger
see
Pierce comes
Roger-
up. There's a late block to try and cover the run from the 88 machine.
I
Be
was
careful, that
halfway
bottom line's
expecting
still quick.
I was halfway expecting that move. Yeah, that dart up to the outside is going to check up that outside line. It'll be interesting to see if they can recover the momentum because 87 and the 19 have pushed all the way from the back of the field. You got to remember that their temps have got to be flashing.
It's working so far. As you see, Causey pushing the 27 machine and Roger Pierce out in front. They've gotten Edstrom clear as well.
As we see Keegan Sabilo Racing had your job site covered on that outside line with DeWalt, Stanley, and Mac Tools, but we see Causey going back to the inside.
And don't forget Caterpillar as well.
How can I forget my own sponsored car being Caterpillar? Shame.
Yeah, come on, man. You gotta get yourself a skid steer loader.
So we see that 27 machine jump back in front of here in Causey. Edstrom's going to be side by side with him on the outside. I believe Edstrom finally got that lap led. I know he led one while we were in a commercial, but just want to give him a good shout here. So we see the 19 being pushed clear, and they're all going to clear down to that inside.
And Justin Levine and Austin Edstrom work their way from the dead end of the pack, tail end of the field, all the way up to the front here, 41 laps in. Causey going up to the outside line now, trying to make something happen to get the lead stolen away from his teammates as he tries to hook up with the 83 machine of Benefield, but the outside line kind of breaking up here since this couple cars broke off from the front.
Yeah, I don't know if I was Causey, I would have made that overstated down in line with your teammates and your semi-corporate teammate, because you know those Keegan Sabilo Racing cars are on Ryco Performance sets. So I think I would have stayed in line with all of them because those four could have run away with the race like we saw Stuart Haas do at Talladega several years ago.
I'll tell you what, Causey is he's determined, man. He's had a rough week here at Daytona. And the last couple plate races haven't gone well for him, period. And we got a car around. Hudson sideways into car.
Yeah,
Car sliding down to the inside wall. Is he going to keep it off? Yes, he does. No caution,
yellow.
though.
You see that
a lap down.
You see that here at iRacing when they don't have admin-controlled cautions. The apron does not get a yellow flag flown for them, so that's going to be a tough break, and those two are going to be relying on another yellow.
Now, is that Sean Conklin trying to peek out and make something happen in the back?
That was, but he's Superman, but I don't think he's that good of a Superman to come all the way to the front by himself.
Replay of what just happened here with Hudson and Carr. See Hudson up there to the outside. Just get a wiggle. Yes, he does. Just gets loose on the exit of 2 and swipes down and grabs the 25 machine of Carr and sends him around to the inside wall.
Such a tough break for both of those. That 43 just got a tank slapper there when the car unloaded out off the hill.
Yeah, well, we were lucky that was just a 2-car slide and not something way more dramatic. You see some of the cars that got damaged in the earlier incident getting ready to lose a lap here. The 3 machine of Lou Christian, as well as the 29 of Craig Johnson.
Yeah, tough break for Lou, but I think he'll be able to get that lap back. And we haven't seen the last of that orange 3 machine.
I doubt it. But the commentator curse still lives. Sorry, Lou. Sorry, the Sheldon Atkins curse. Our producer is making sure of that. Like, he doesn't pick somebody and they die every week, too.
We can call it a commentator curse when Roger inevitably eats it here, but until then, it's just a you curse, Sheldon.
Oh, no. It's commentator. LaCastro does it every week. Darby does it every week. We pick somebody, they die. I'm just most vocal about it.
We're here working
Darby.
We're here working lap 45 in the middle of turns 1 and 2 here. We've got Austin Edstrom followed by Justin Levine, then Roger Pierce in the 3rd place, Brandon Passalacqua, and Chris Davis rounding out your top 5s. We're seeing that outside line trying to get a little bit of momentum with Patrick Gitter. I believe that's the 98 machine of Joseph Gulata and Benefield with Causey in tow.
What is a strange thing seeing Gulata in a car that isn't covered in flames.
It's strange seeing Gulata in a car that's the 98 instead of 99. That's why I called him Paul Hill earlier.
A lot of weirdness up here at the front. I like it.
One thing hasn't changed is we've got Patrick Gitter in that car.
And here comes Pierce.
Yeah, Roger making an aggressive move to cover up that momentum. You got to do it because it's going to be hard to get around this duo here of Justin Ledeen and Austin Edstrom.
Pierce going to try and take the momentum up to the front here. What is the inside line going to do? But also the main question, too, is that outside line going to be able to stay formed? Also, look who's working himself in right outside of the top 10, Sean Conklin. On the outside, no! Benefield gets loose off the nose of Joseph Causey, trying to send it onto the bottom of the track and almost loses it into turn 3.
That could have been big, Sheldon. I think he was just trying to fill that hole that had formed in between the 98 and the 54 there, and just cranked that wheel a little too hard and caught the apron as we see Gitter bailing out from behind Roger. And now we've got Causey, Roger, and Sean all lined up here on that outside lane.
Say, well, I don't think the skid marks just came from the tires on the 83 machine there, because that was nearly a day ender for Benefield.
For sure, as we see Benefield and Galata pop back out on that outside.
And here comes Patrick Gitter. You know, they heard me talk about how hard it is to push in the Chevy. And if you look on that outside line, it's all we see right now for the first 3 cars.
It does seem to be that Chevys can push Chevys better. I don't know if they built it that way or what, but you don't seem to have the wiggle that Chevy pushing a Ford or Toyota does when it's a Chevy locked with a Chevy. But that does help. I don't know if you saw that, Sheldon, but it looked like the 83 had some nose damage. We came around that tri-oval. So it's flattened it out.
It just shows you how hard these guys are pushing here at the front there. But I do think that, you know, the nose damage, we see the visual nose damage, but I know a lot of times at short tracks, I've been missing rear clips in the past. And somebody put the bumper to it, but it'll still hit the hit. It'll hit the hit box the same, because I don't think the hit box necessarily changes with the damage model.
I don't know, Sheldon. I've noticed it change a little bit with this newer damage model, but it'll be interesting to see what happens to Adam if he can clear and get into a lead of one of these lines. I don't know if he'll be able to hold on to it until he gets that fixed.
Benefield going to opt to tuck to the back here, saying that he was having issues with overheating over the radio.
I think that comes from that nose damage.
Yeah, it does. He just doesn't want to stall these guys out any more than they already have been. Going to fall to the back of the line here. Classy move out of Adam Benefield.
Very classy. You're not going to have him find a much more respectful driver than Adam Benefield in anything he races. That's just who he is. One of the best-hearted people and best moral people on this sim.
I went for a spin a couple weeks ago at, I think it was Iowa. And Benefield came over the radio and apologized to me, and I wasn't even near him. He thought he turned me somehow.
Ash.
It was absolutely 100% my fault, because I was just overdriving the hell out of it. But
we see those two Victory One cars have linked up on the outside. Sheldon, it won't be interesting to see if Sean can push Roger back up to this front. Usually we see Victory One have a few more cars together, you know, be it in this league or A Open or really any other league on the sim that runs open setup A cars. There's usually a bit more of a numbers advantage with them.
Patrick Gitter going to cover that outside line, though, as well as Reese Schaefer and Joseph Causey. Two of those teammates up there working together, so kind of a mixed bag on this outside line.
That's going to be interesting to see what Schaefer can play on that rear bumper of Causey. I don't think in NIS or here tonight we've seen him in a position to be pushing a lead car in a line.
Schaefer doing a good job right now. This outside line really starting to close the advantage here. But this has got a long way to go to get to the back of the Stanley Tools Camry. The huge run down the back straightaway. Look at how much they've closed here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see once Causey gets up here, if he tries to clear up in front of his teammates, if he gets clear, or if they pull a Penske lane game. Remembering back to Talladega and Daytona, you usually see Penske try to control both lanes with that Wood Brothers alliance. I wonder if Causey's going to try to do the same thing.
Interesting to see, but it's a lot harder to do here on the sim than it is in real life, I've noticed.
For sure, as we see a little bit back in that line, Sean bail off to the inside. He made up some good progress. Oh, wrecking! Here we go.
Goes around, and he saves it.
Now they don't. Causey gets into Gitter. gets up into Galata, and they all wreck down the back straightaway, unfortunately, and the 00 goes hard into the inside wall. No, I don't think anyone got too much damage out of that shot. Oh, as they come up into the pack, and a little bit more damage for Causey there with the 66 machine, I do believe.
And I think that's going to finish it off. You see the crab walk on the 88 machine here.
Yeah, Causey's got
she's,
some. Causey got some definite toe damage out of that. All that rear end's all messed up.
Look at
Net
it here.
code, big net code off the 88 to the 74 machine, and it just caused the whole package.
Look at Schaefer.
That's a heck of a job by Schaefer to avoid that.
Yeah,
Schaefer
look at
avoided
that.
everybody.
Yeah, he got the initial contact with him and Costi that stuffed him in the wall, but the reaction timing from Reese Schaefer there is just absolutely impeccable.
Yeah, I think he got off without even a touch of anybody.
Just a little bit of right front damage.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing from that 97 machine. Only contact you get is when 98 of Galata came down.
I think that's a bent toe link, though.
You know,
that wheel looks a little further to the right than it was before.
It does look like a little bit of damage, but still, that was an impressive job. He got through that as best he could. I would like to go on board with that 00 machine there, see what he was seeing.
Robert Johnson here further in the back.
Sees him just all
Everybody
spreading
wrecks
out, and no reaction time. Hate it for him. After the wreck, he goes hard onto that inside wall.
And here's what Edstrom saw. Nothing.
As we have already seen the 00 machine go behind the virtual pit wall. Call it a night after that hard inside wall contact.
How much damage Causey got there too, because that's pretty beat up there. The 88 machine.
Yeah, but you know what's fortunate or unfortunate for some is fortunate for others. Big break for the 43 machine, and Benefil, as the 43 got spun out earlier, and Benefil got that nose damage. We see Sean Conklin come off pit road second. Esalakwa wins the race off.
Picks up a whole bunch of spots through that too. Second place. Fell into the field at the front.
And these poor guys back here just looking to miss the race, and Causey has no ability to steer his car with it crab walking. The 66 gets caught up in it.
Yeah, you see Causey just wiggling down the back straightaway. And what you're seeing right there is it's not Causey being, completely out of control and have no idea what he's doing. It's Causey after the damage, once that wheel gets shifted, it takes you a minute to figure out where the actual center of the steering is once you get the toe knocked out like that. Because it'll jerk the wheel completely over to the right side or the left side, depending on which way you hit. And it's like a dead zone in the steering wheel where just nothing happens. And you got to figure out where you're able to grip it before, you put power to the car.
Yeah, it looks like he was still driving at Richmond there, not being able to get the throttle down on the front straightaway.
Schaefer still damaged to the right front of his car. Same for Luke Christian after his hit earlier. So Luke Christian's damaged a lot more terminal than we thought initially up here in the booth.
Yeah, and it's so hard to tell with this new damage model because back before it, you could easily tell, oh, this is 30 seconds, this is 50 seconds. But there's so much more of the finesse of the internal damage. It's just so hard to tell.
Also feels like the pit crew got fatter and lazier.
Yeah, they're still changing out. They're still changing out 5 lugs when we've only got 1. Yeah, hopefully we see that modeled into the new update, as I believe the iRacing Developer Diary did kind of hint at that today. If y'all haven't read that we may be getting the 1 lug pit stops innovations.
Darby saying that we do want pit animations for every car, and that does sound awesome, but a lot of guys' GPUs are going to be very, very disappointed in that.
Wish we had the clock to throw up that said soon. The iRacing man in the hands. Anybody knows that meme?
Sorry, Tommy, my ADHD took me to a different planet there right before you started speaking. 55 laps on the board here. Field in the hands of Brandon Pasalacqua and Sean Conklin as we work through 3 and 4 here. Get ready to get into the restart zone to get this thing back underway. How many times do you think we got a pit from here, Tommy?
One time, because it's about a 30 to 35 lap pit window. So it's a one stopper from here if we can stay green. So business is definitely going to ramp up as we're coming to get the green flag. And that 6 machine gets a big jump over that 27 machine on the inside. It's going to be interesting here to see if Roger tries to clear up in front of his teammate, of Sean, or Sean tries to tuck it down inside. And I think we just got the answer to that.
From lose a little bit of a hole there, it looks like, for Sean Conklin to work his way in. Everybody single file now up for the first handful of rows. You see everybody jockeying to get down to the inside line here through 1 and 2.
Yeah, I kind of expected this earlier in the race, but I'm shocked they're doing it now. I think these front guys have said, all right, we've lost several cars. We've had 2 fairly good-sized wrecks, so let's just try to get to a green flag pit stop and then let it shake out from there.
This is the part of the race that gets the most exciting, isn't it?
Oh, yes. This is where we need Kevin Harvick to start saying words like turnt.
No cap.
Riz.
Oh, no. No, we can't do this again. We got in trouble for this the last time we did it, Tommy.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm new up here.
Oh, no. No, Edstrom and I got decided to do a whole broadcast in brain rot, and we maybe got yelled at a little bit for it. By Austin, he was disappointed. But up at the front of the pack right now, Brandon Pasalacqua leading Roger Pierce, Sean Conklin, Austin Edstrom, and Chris Davis, your top 5. Sitting in 6th place is Justin Levine, as well as Randy Mullins, Chris Vinson, Brian Johnson, and Paul Gallimore round your top 10.
We're going to have some 200-mile-per-hour trainage here, Sheldon. It's just a product of Daytona and the field getting thinned out just a little bit. The outside lane's not able to generate that momentum. And these guys realize how important track position is, especially people like Sean and Justin who have taken all race to be able to work to get up to this point.
With everybody single filed here and 58 laps on the board, I think now's a good time to check and make sure you got that spatial sound set up on your headset. Because I think now's a good time.
Now they're wrecking in the back. Now it ain't a good time. They're wrecking huge in the back.
Huge crash in 3 and 4.
Did you see the 9 of Chris Crosby, the 58 machine? Saw the 1 of Nick Isaacs.
Just a final hit for Crosby.
Someone's hood's up going down towards pit road. I can't tell what car that is. That happened out of nowhere, Sheldon.
It just makes no sense. See, we're all single file through the pack, but the only thing I can really think of is, when we're single file like this, you end up with a lot of checkups that you wouldn't necessarily have. Maybe somebody just didn't react in time. So look at the 58 machine here, sending it down to turn 3. This is him trying to avoid the wreck. This looks like it started with Crosby there and the 1 machine of Isaacs. Here, and yeah, there is a pretty sizable checkup, and Isaacs trying to avoid the 26 machine in front of him, sends it up the track a little bit, and Crosby just not able to react in time, hooks him around.
Hard lick by that 20 machine there. If we can get a shot of that. Hood flew up on contact for the wall, absolutely destroyed that machine.
Shades of Denny Hamlin at Sonoma.
You hate to see it for Alex. You you look at one of these races and someone like Alex, and this is a good opportunity for them to get a win or a solid result, and or to go haywire like that as we ride on board with him here, and we see the contact up front. Everybody's scattering, smothering, and he can't cover. It hooks by the 97 machine, and that hood flies up. That's a night ender, Sheldon.
Absolutely. And just as you were saying too, really rough break for Alex. Somebody that needs to make as much out of these points as he possibly can. Runs consistently, but just consistently doesn't always have the luck he needs to finish these things off. So devastating blow to the 20 machine is Austin Edstrom winning the race off pit road.
Now this puts us in a really interesting fuel position here, Sheldon, because if anybody comes down here to top off, I've seen cars make it 45, 46 laps on fuel, and we're right here at it. So if these guys line up and save fuel, I expect someone in the back to try to go the distance if we don't have another caution.
It's likely. It just depends on how much the front of the field backs it up, though, at the same time.
Yeah, most of the time at places like Michigan, Pocono, Richmond, New Hampshire, really, where you save fuel, it's dependent on you. Here, you're dependent on everybody else to save that fuel. Because if you're just riding around half throttle and get dropped, your fuel mileage is going to go higher than the guy leading the race, because the guy leading the race is getting pushed.
So we are working another caution here, 60 laps in. We're going to send it to a quick word from our sponsors, and we'll be back to bring you the rest of the racing action here on the grid.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel.
And welcome back to the OB Builders Cup Series. Brandon Pasalacqua leading them to the green here with Austin Edstrom working the outside line. The outside line starting to fall back here. Not a great launch for those guys up top. As you see a bunch of them funnel down to the bottom. Inside line stacked up really well. It's really going to make it difficult for these guys up top to even be able to hang on. As you see Brandon Pasalacqua and Sean Conklin surge to the front here through 1 and 2, leading Joseph Gulata and Patrick Gitter.
Yeah, everybody's going to be getting down here to the inside while we're under commercial. You can see in the side-by-side. We had basically everybody from Justin Levine back pit to top off fuel. I'm going to be keeping my eye on that 19 to see exactly what he's doing. I expect him to try to go all the way.
I guess the question is, Levine let his buddy in. As Edstrom is falling to the back real quick here.
I would say he will. He needs all the drafting help he can get. But, you know, everybody's up here saving fuel, so these two cars on the outside might go somewhere since everybody's not all lined up and pushing each other. Yep, there's the hole for 87 machine.
And unfortunate break for Brian Johnson as he's probably going to get sent to the back, but here comes a huge run from the 74 machine of Chris Davis. With confirmation for Brian Johnson, though, Tim Wortman said that he's got him if he needs it. As the outside line now stacked up pretty strong here.
Yeah, I think this is outside line is going to at least get up to Sean. I don't know if they'll be able to clear with only 3 cars, but with all these guys trying to save fuel and throttle, I think they might go a little further up on that inside line.
Yeah. Yeah, 187 miles per hour on corner exit there. All the way throughout the pack. These guys on the inside lane just trying to save, and you see it, the way that they're separating here. And right now, the only thing that Pasalakwa is hoping for is to go slow enough to let these 3 cars in front on the outside line go by and burn their fuel off.
Yeah, Brandon if he has any desires to go any further in this race, as we see Randy Mullins getting hung out on the outside, and he gets down on that front row too, or in front of Pasalakwa, now putting Pasalakwa down in 5th position. His only hope is to let those guys down in front of him to get enough fuel to be able to go.
And also to just be praying that he didn't spend too much gas that first lap and a half where he was in front of the field. Because, you know, every moment that you're out there in that clean air, you're burning significantly more gas than you would be behind somebody else.
Yes, just as I'm looking back through the field, the car in the worst position right here besides the 4 machine is actually the 10 of Sean Conklin. He's got a car length to the 6 and a car length and a half, maybe 2 back to the 98. He's burning the 2nd most fuel of anybody on this track right now. You got to stay close enough to where you're getting the full benefit of the draft, and you need somebody tucked up right behind you to keep you up there.
What though? I don't think he's stressing it too much though, because I'm pretty sure he's probably just running about 50% throttle all the way around the track. That's why you're seeing such a big advantage open up between him and Pasalakwa. Now, the guy that I'd be sweating the most right now, if I was in this field, is the last car at the end of this lead pack, because that is a terrifying place to be, because you can try to save, but you're going to lose the draft if you do.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I believe that's the 66 machine, if I'm not mistaken, who is tailing Charlie as you look for Lou to go to the outside of the 29 to try to get a little more track position, but he's going to check back in and hold what he's got.
Up at the front right now, Brian Johnson leading Chris Davis and Chris Vincent. Chris Vincent down the back straightaway. Randy Mullins and Brandon Pasalakwa, that is your top 5. Right on board with Sean Conklin sitting right behind Brandon Pasalakwa. Yep. See him clutching it here, it looks like. As we... I think that might be... Darby saying that he's hearing the starter click, but I think that might be a graphical thing because we don't have the ability to turn the engine off on these cars unless you're under pace speed.
Yeah, that's correct, Sheldon. You can turn the switch off, but you can still drive the car and everything until you hit whatever pace speed is set for the track.
Yeah, that was a quick clutch kick, though, for Sean Conklin.
Glad you brought that up, Sheldon. I totally forgot about that being a thing.
Yeah, it makes fuel saving a lot more difficult than what we're used to. You know what else makes it more difficult? Not being able to slam the car down in neutral.
That is a thing that does make it difficult.
Yep, since we got the sequential gears in these cars, when we switch to the transaxle, not able to throw the thing down in neutral. And, you know, that was a trick that I used to rely on a lot here at the super speedways. I just slam it down neutral, throw it back into 4th. Maybe ruined a perfectly good Logitech G29 shifter at one point doing that here, but hey, it worked for as long as it could. Yeah,
you got to do what you got to do to try to get a win in these events. especially plate tracks. The draft is the great equalizer.
With it, equalizing everybody to the point where anybody can win it, you have to be 110% every second of the race. You cannot make a single mistake. Everybody is trying everything that they know, every trick they have in the book from, years of doing this. And they're just pulling it all out and not leaving anything out there on the table. So you cannot be caught slacking, whether it's fuel saving, whether it's pushing, whether it's side drafting. If you give an inch, you're going to take a mile.
Yeah, and I think that's just the mentality of racers, be it sim racers or racers on the real track there, Sheldon. We're all aggressive. That's what makes us love to do this, is the aggressiveness. So we say, the famous Senna quote, if gap car, that applies to anything.
If you're not competitive, then you're just, you're not in the top split. I can say that much.
For sure, Sheldon.
We will try it again here. 70 laps on the board and a bit of a single file train. Brian Johnson leading Chris Davis, Chris Vinson, Randy Mullins, and Brandon Pasalacqua. And I think right now is as good a time as any to turn up them headsets and listen to the beautiful sights and sounds of Daytona Speedway. And welcome back. 74 laps down here at Daytona. Brian Johnson still in the lead and still working at a single file train.
Yeah, I think this train's going to be around to stay until either the end of the race or another caution, Sheldon. It's the unfortunate scenario that NASCAR's put us in here.
If only we were Fox, we could go away every 5 minutes. You know what? We're not Fox, so we're not going to do that. We're going to stay here through to the bitter end. So we look through the field here, and this is one of those moments where I just wish we could pull drivers up mid-race, but I know that is highly frowned upon. First 25 cars broken away. A couple small straggler packs throughout the field. Cars with damage, trying everything they can to hope to hold on here to this front pack. Made a little bit easier by the aggressive fuel saving at play right now. But, you know, while those guys are up there saving, these guys further back, they're spending every bit of fuel they have in the tank.
Yeah, I mean, you wanted to show how just non-competitive this package is at this point. Look in the grid vision chat. We've got Roger Pierce, the driver of the 27 machine, who's back there 12th in line, typing in chat while he races.
Sure tends to do that.
He's multi-talented.
I mean, hell, he was doing it at Richmond last week, mid-race. It was crazy.
See, that's where I was just not paying attention to that.
So you gotta make sure that you have the right entry point, shift, all that fun stuff that we do at Richmond these days. Roger still finds time to do all that in text. I swear to God, he's got extra arms. And drinking beer at the same time, too. Don't forget that.
Well, he's got a hat for that.
No, it's amazing. So we get a look at that hat.
Roger in all his glory.
And then one man that is prepared for the vacuum of space to eventually over and come planet Earth, Austin Edstrom. Sitting there, he races in a full NASA suit, by the way.
Yeah, that's not for outer space. That's just because he's a biohazard. Protect everybody around him.
Yep, a little bit of a bubble boy scenario here for Austin Edstrom.
Another driver here who's always up for a good party is that Adam Benefield guy. Picture of John Daly, always up to smoke one or play golf in some cool-looking families.
So I need to return fan mail to Austin Edstrom. As you see, I'm listed as his favorite driver. He sends me a letter about every 2 weeks. Something about Stan not calling or writing. Kind of worried about that one.
We see another group of 4 cars back here just trying to make laps and hope for another caution. I believe all this 4-car pack here has all got a little bit of damage. As you see, Luke Christian, Joseph Causey, and the 29 and the 66 machine. Just trying to click some laps off, not wanting to pull it behind the pits in the hopes of another yellow.
And the words out of each one of these drivers' mouths as they take a lap around this track in their Discord channels is caution. Please, caution. We've all been in this situation at some point at super speedways, and it's the most miserable place to be. I'd rather be wrecked, totaled on pit road than to be sitting out here, you know, 29th on back with damage, just begging to not go a lap down.
Yeah, you know, that's what makes this kind of super speedway racing here just miserable. Like you're referencing back in 2018 when we were all racing it on that package. You know it's going to become chaos in the last 2 laps. So you're here logging laps for what reason? Like anything could break loose at the end. You may win, but you may finish 25th.
Speaking of 25th, you know, only 25 cars remaining on the lead lap. And then really only 28 cars remaining in the race out of the 36-car field we started out with tonight. Roger Pierce complaining about a foot injury over there. Apparently holding the gas pedal down, starting to hurt.
You know what makes it even more infuriating in a fuel save scenario, Sheldon, is you can't even go full throttle. Just look at the eyes of the driver of the 27, Roger Pierce. He's just dead inside. No life whatsoever. Just here doing the monotonous task of going around Daytona.
him not blinking. I think I've seen him blink once this entire race.
That's how you know a driver's absolutely locked in his goals. We're also getting reports from the 83 machine that he too has a foot cramp.
This place, it'll wear you out in a normal A open race just from, the monotony of foot slammed to the floor.
Yeah, you got to feel for some of these drivers who are staring down the. Ooh, 74 machine gets on the apron there, but it'll keep it under control and keep on chugging. You got to feel for some of these guys who are doing this race, who ran NIS yesterday, who will probably run NIS tomorrow, and then some of them do FLCC, which is 100% Cup Series. So they got a lot of Daytona left.
Yeah, I mean, 80 laps in, 82 laps in, we are already 2 laps past what an NIS is. And still plenty of race left, just starting to get close to that 20 to go margin. And
yes,
normally,
Roger.
Once we reach that 20 to go point, we'd be expecting, big moves and a lot of action throughout the field. But, with us in the situation right now where everybody's so close to the margin on fuel, I just don't expect us to really get that.
No, I expect to stay pretty much exactly line astern here until lap 100, 102 even. We see a plane landing on the back straightaway. People, when they come into Daytona, they expect to see some racing on a Saturday night like this, but unfortunately, they just see a train.
Wish we had the Thomas the Tank Engine theme song in the repertoire here.
That would be beautiful.
We're going to need that for Talladega when we go there, Darby. Make note of that.
I hope with Talladega being a wider track, it may produce a little better racing, but I doubt it.
Watch Brian Johnson pace the field here right now. In front of Chris Davis, Chris Vinson, Randy Mullins, and Brandon Paslockwood. No changes here in running order for the past about 15 laps.
As we see Adam Benefiel asking in our chat to his fellow competitors who are able to type as well, if they're good on fuel, and just trying to get a little extra information out of the competition here on track.
Yeah. Adam Benefiel asking if everybody's good on fuel yet. Roger Pierce, beer in one hand, Will in the other.
And what are you typing with, Roger? That's the real question.
There's some things that we don't need answers to.
The mysteries of life.
Darby just said there's some things known as a girlfriend, and yeah, I guess that is true.
Yeah, I can tell you. I know Roger doesn't have that. Sorry, Roger, neither do I, but...
I think all three of us caught strays there. Darby has it pretty easy, though. He has Karen do everything for him. First cat turned producer in iRacing history. Tommy, from a driver's standpoint, I know what I'm typically thinking in situations like this, but what are you thinking? What are you planning? Like, how far ahead are you looking here in this race if you're behind the wheel?
If I'm behind the wheel in this scenario, I am looking forward to that checkered flag to put me out of my misery one way or another. But on the real, you're just looking at that. You're talking to your crew, looking at your fuel gauge if you have a third-party fuel application like Caps Up to see what you need to do and when you need to time your moves, because especially now, you don't want to wait too late to start trying to make your way up to the front.
For me right now, I'd be making deals with just about everybody around me, trying to figure out how to get my car up there to the front of the pack. Setting up different radio channels and everything, trying to keep some kind of contact with somebody. And then just running out those last 5 laps in my head about 120 times before I go and attempt to do it with 5 laps to go and for it to all be entirely different from what I visualized.
Yeah, you can spend your time worrying about that, but since we don't have crew chiefs here on iRacing, except the virtual one, you have to calculate your own fuel strategy. So that does throw another wrinkle into it where you're trying to think, okay, I need to go this easy for 10 more laps, and then I can start trying to make a move. Or I need to save for 15 or 9 or whatever you need to do. So it's all of it. It's it's such a different animal on the sim. And it's nowhere near as hard as real life. But you just have that extra thing to think about, especially for these guys. Like in the Coke series, you may have a crew chief, but here they don't.
These guys do. Not all, though, but a handful of these guys do. Pretty sure that on the box for Justin Levine right now is the Tic Tac terrorist, ready to throw in the wrong adjustment at the wrong time. But somehow Justin overcomes it week in and week out. And of course, Sean Conklin has the ever so capable Ken Byron up there on the box.
The ever capable and the ever present.
Always. So as far as crew chiefing goes tonight, it is Ken Byron versus the Tic Tac terrorists, and I don't know which one's going to come out on top.
Oh, I have a pretty good idea.
Of course, Chris Vincent sitting there with Devin Maines on the box, and Joseph Thompson with Jason Miz, and Gulata has Dolan Hodgson. So some mixed bags as far as crew chiefs go across the board here, but a few of these guys a little extra helping hand. Most of them just residing in the position of spotter and click buttons. When I say click buttons, we know Ken goes for that significantly more hands-on approach. So Sean, definitely in the catbird seat when it comes to help on the box.
It looks like we got some moves being made finally here. Austin Edstrom and Justin Levine have decided they've got enough fuel and it's time to start making their way to the front.
See how they're going to be able to do, though. 3 cars up there on the top. If the rest of these guys here are struggling to save fuel, this could be a very big moment for these Sabila Esports machines. As we got a couple cars coming up to the top now. Gulata goes to the top, thinks better of it, but Patrick Gitter goes up there and stays, as well as Sean Conklin leading the train around the outside line.
You see Gulata dip down to the inside, and he got around Sean, came back up in front with Paul Hill, and now Sean's got 2 cars in front of him. It looks like the 26 is going to go around the outside of the 98, or is he falling to the back? Well, by choice or not, he's going to the back. He's thrown anchor. Gitter comes back up in front of Gulata.
Through 3 and 4. Patrick Gitter trying to lead the train. A little bit of a wiggle, though. Sean Conklin gets to the bumper. Gulata gets to the bumper. But they're not finding that momentum that they need to get up to the front of the pack. Everybody just put the hammer down here in the closing laps, knowing that it's now or never. And fuel mileage be damned. Does Randy Mullins make the peak to the outside? No, he doesn't. He stays down on the bottom. Which one of these 3 cars at the front is going to be the spoiler, though? Because somebody's going to make a move here.
You know, I'm very nervous at this point if I'm the 4 car, because my fate's resting on a caution. He's been leading this train since that last yellow, so we know he cannot make it on fuel.
And a huge run here through 3 and 4 for Patrick Gitter, with Joseph Gulata just about lifting the back tires off of the 21 Ford Chevrolet. Through the trial will Patrick Gitter to the lead here at Daytona.
He's going to clear down in front of the 4, so he's going to stay up with the 98. Looks like he's going to stay up with the 98, but the 98 is going to take him 3 wide. To Gitter gets put in the sucker hole. Is anybody going to go with Gitter, or are they going to all go up with Sean? Sean is going to be hung out on the sucker hole as we see Roger go up, try to help, racking in the back.
Around this Gallimore and Benefield. Huge crash on the back straightaway.
Oh, my goodness.
3, 4, 5 cars spinning through the grass, a couple up into the fence.
You know, Sheldon, that's what I'm saying. That's why you hate to ride in a train like that, because you know chaos is going to break out. If I'm in Adam Benefield position, I'm punching drywall right now. We go up into the chopper cam to see what happened here. We see the 26 try to take it 3 wide. The 17 go down to cover it, but too late and just goes down and collects the 83 of Adam Benefield. and just a little more of the field piles in on top.
Tell you what, if this was real life, Benefit would have probably taken a Ryan Priest tumble through the back straightaway grass as you saw him go dead sideways over the curbing at the Daytona bus stop. But, you know, I feel like Benefit probably not too upset that this happened, though. Just excited that something happened, period, for that 83 machine.
At least he gets to give his foot a rest now.
And
I think the car that got the most damage out of all that, besides the 17, is that 58 machine, unfortunately for him.
And Hill, probably the luckiest guy here at the track, because watch the ride he goes through. If not for the access road, for the road course, he would have absolutely smoked down the fence if he got stuck in that grass. Look at him, just booking it. And if that asphalt wasn't there, Paul Hill was toast. Not too surprising to see that kind of car control out of Paul Hill, though, because he's shown some exciting stuff here in NIS earlier this season.
Sure, as we go on board with Paul Hill, you see he makes the move down 3 wide, and it's going to work until the 17 comes down. Adam Benefield, a poor innocent bystander, and then we're going to see Paul Hill get collected again from another incident that happens up above him, and just watch him wheel this thing down on this concrete to save it.
I don't think he even lifted. I don't think he even lifted. He kept his foot in it the whole time.
For sure. And, you know, this is an answered prayer for that Ford machine of Johnson to get enough little more fuel on board to be able to go the distance. I think lost in that shuffle, especially on me, was Brandon was the only car not to pit under that last caution, so he was right at the end of his fuel window.
Brian Johnson opting to stay out after leading all these laps up at the front of the field has to be confident with the fuel numbers in that Ford machine to make it to the end. Because he's definitely the one that has used the most fuel here in this field.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting scenario here, Sheldon. I'm surprised quite a few more people didn't come in to top off because, you know, here at Daytona, especially with the caution, and we're going to get the green with 9 to go, you're probably looking at, well, I would say overtime, but this league doesn't have overtimes, as we found out at Iowa.
Yeah, that could be a major curveball, but this could also be a lifesaver for some of these guys that are close to that fuel number that decided that they're going to stay out. You know, it's definitely a big risk versus reward situation for every driver in this field at this point.
Yeah, but with not having those green-white checkers to worry about, you've got your number and you can stick to it.
Lights out on the iRacing pace truck, fueled in the hands of Brian Johnson and Joseph Galata up here at the front. You see a couple cars coming out late here trying to get damage repaired. Causey's still trying to get the fenders slammed back the way they need to be on that car, even though he's 2 laps down. Such a rough night for Joseph Causey. Had so much pace in the early stages of this thing and just gets caught up in somebody else's mess to bring him out of it. But opting to stay in here and make it to the checkered flag at least.
Yeah, and that goes back to that points racing thing we were talking about earlier.
Field side by side now, working themselves into 3 and 4 here to hopefully get us going green for the final time here from Daytona. You know, we've seen a little bit of everything today, and I think we're about to see total unbridled chaos to finish this thing off because you got a lot of fast cars, a lot of really scrappy plate racers spread throughout the field here, and various situations. The one I think of right now that's way at the back after being caught in that last crash, Adam Benefiel. Definitely one that's going to be trying to look his way to the front. Sean Conklin, another one, sitting in 8th place. You know, he's just in sight of the front of this thing. Looking to get it done, but you've also got Edstrom sitting in 6th. You got Vincent sitting in 5th. But you can't count out this front 3 either as they come into the restart zone here to take the green flag field underway here as Brian Johnson gets to the gas. Trying to get that 74 machine of Davis to pull up to his back bumper in a huge stack here on the bottom lane.
Big wreck in the
a huge
back.
crash on the back straightaway. This will probably be the race. Hard contact with the inside wall.
I think we'll get it going back green with the short cautions here, Sheldon, but that was a massive wreck to happen so early after the green flag.
That was huge. Did somebody just try to catch up and not get there in time?
We go up above here to see what happened. We're following along with the 26 of Paul Hill. You see everybody goes, check up, go, and not seeing much here. Now we get the green flag. All's orderly so far. Oh my goodness. Craziness out of that 29 machine. Don't know if that was net code or what, followed by the 26 spinning down to the inside and hard contact with the outside wall.
That's such a rough break for the 26 machine, but it's just the nature of the beast here with these super speedways, especially when we get into these late stages. Everybody's so antsy to get the thing going.
Yeah, but
on board
I don't
with
know.
Johnson.
I don't know what happened there. Did the 59 car blink out, or was that massive net code? That's just massive net code. Almost acting like
is he down in first? He's in first gear right there.
He money shifted. He went down to first
absolutely.
gear.
You know, didn't have the pedals. Must have had the the actual sequential stick shift. That's the only way I can think of that you could make that mistake.
Yeah, for sure. And just a shame for Paul Hill and the others to get involved in a mistake like that. But, you know, it's the nature of the beast. Paul Hill took that hard shot to the outside wall. You see his tires come off the ground. His night may very well be done here, Sheldon.
Yeah, I mean, as late as we are in this race, there's not much opportunity for him to get the thing fixed, and that was a hard hit to the inside wall for Paul Hill, and a devastating blow to finish this thing off because, you know, he was running so good earlier in the race, but got mired back in that track in the field during that long saving stretch, and you know, sometimes when you get back there, it's just impossible to make your way out. Who's your pick to win it here at this point? Because we know it's going to be short dash. I mean, and mathematically, you know, at this point, there's not really many guys that will have the opportunity to get up here and dice it out for the win.
You know, I'm
just with the nature of this package.
I'm still staying with my pick. I think Roger's going to get up here and pull this thing out, Sheldon.
Yeah, ways to go, though. 10th place, it's not going to be easy. He's going to have to get really lucky and make every move just concise and perfect.
Well, if there's anybody that can do that, it's that 27 machine. So I'm going to stick it out with him.
At this point, I'm kind of looking, though. I'm looking at that 21 machine to get her starting 3rd place. I know how aggressive he is here on these super speedways.
Yeah, he's one you can never count out. Same with that 98 machine of Joseph Gulata starting out on the outside. The same can be said about Austin Edstrom and the 19 machine of Justin Levine.
Richard Kleiman in the 58 machine coming over the radio to state that he is having to serve a drive-through penalty here. So a rough day getting more difficult for Kleinman. Ourselves down into the back straightaway here. Lights out on the iRacing pace truck. Brian Johnson leads. Joseph Gulata, Patrick Gitter, Chris Davis, Austin Edstrom, Chris Vincent, Sean Conklin, Justin Levine, Randy Mullins, and Roger Pierce, who are your top 10.
You know, and Sheldon with no green, white checkers, that's taking the green here with 5 to go. This may be the race for the end. This may be getting into next flag ends at territory.
I think it certainly is. If not, if they wreck here at the start-finish line, we'll get a one-lap dash to finish it off, if my math is correct. But it's never that easy.
Never that easy as the pace truck pulls off for what could be the final time tonight in the restart zone. And away goes the 4 machine. Big shot from the 74 to the back of the 4 machine. The 4 is going to clear the 98 of Joseph Gulata. Now Gulata's going to get the run back to his outside.
And he got too far ahead there. Brian Johnson had way too good of a run. That opens up the opportunity for Gulata to get clear, but he doesn't have the help as Patrick Gitter tries to get to the back bumper of the 98 machine. And then outside line, 4 cars deep. And look at this. The Sabila Esports machines working themselves into the picture too. Right off the rear bumper of Gitter is Justin Levine and Austin Edstrom. Who's going to go with who? Down the back straightaway now.
It's going to be interesting as the 87 and 19 duck out to the inside. We've got some formations here. We got the 87 and 19, the 10 and 27, and the 98 and 21 as they race off a turn 4.
Working through 3 and 4. Austin Edstrom leading the bottom lane. This would be a huge win for him to take home the checker to Daytona. But he's got 4 laps to go, and he's got a pack of hungry drivers to hold off as the outside line gets a huge bobble. Gitter gets into the back of Gulata, shoots him up the track, but Gulata finds the momentum and keeps his foot in it. Gets a huge run down into 1 and 2, and they're side by side, neck and neck. Toyota versus Chevrolet here at Daytona.
Yeah, that outside line's got a little bit more organization. That 10 machine's closer to the 21 than the 4 is to the 19. They're going to get the big shot going down here down the back straightaway, and the 98's going to edge ahead. Now, remember, next flag ends this race. You want to be in the lead here. You can't wait as the 98 clears down in front of the 87 with the 21 making a charge back on the outside.
And here comes the 21 Gitter down to clear the bottom as well. And Gitter
21
going to
moves
go
up
to the
to
top,
block
trying to
the
throw a
top.
block. And it's going to work this time, but I don't think you'll be able to do that too many times with Conklin on your bumper. We know how aggressive he gets when he gets blocked. Back to the bottom goes Gitter through the trial with 3 laps to go here at Daytona into 1 and 2. Gitter to the bottom with Gulata all over his rear bumper. And don't count out anybody in this top 5.
For sure not, Sheldon. As we see the 3 cars get clear of that inside. Now the 19 and 87 make an aggressive move to the outside. 21 goes up to block, leaving the 98 all by himself on the inside. The 4 comes up to push the 98. 21 of Gitter back to the inside to block a run.
He was able to block it that time, but he's not going to be able to block it this time, I don't think. So they're going to have a huge run out of turn 4. Patrick Gitter to the bottom still doing. He throws another one on Edstrom, and Edstrom takes him down the middle. A little bit of contact.
Split them
3
3 wide as we
wide.
come 2 to go. That may be one you can't recover from if you're the 21 of Patrick Gitter as the 87 machine takes the point on that outside lane.
Austin Edstrom leading 2 laps to go at Daytona. Down to the bottom is Gulata with a lot of help from the 4 machine of Brian Johnson. Levine not able to close up to the back bumper of the 87 Camry for now. Down the back straightaway, which lane does Gulata take? Is he going to throw the block to Edstrom? Or is he going to stay on that bottom lane with Johnson? The bottom lane surging right now as the top starts to taper off. But does Johnson stay low and stay to the back of Gulata?
If
Into
I'm
3 and 4.
I stay on that inside because you're racing the white flag here. If that 3 wide in the back ends up bad, This is Galato's race. You got to remember there are no overtimes here in the LB Builder Series as we're entering the tri-oval. 1 to go. White flag in the air here at Daytona.
And here comes the outside line with another huge surge. Gulata throws a block. Edstrom doesn't take it. Goes up to the wall. Knocks down the fence, and that opens the door for Levine to take the lead of the top line.
Very unfortunate for the 87 of Edstrom as the 98 machine of Joseph Galata is back controlling this race. The 87's way in anchor back to the back. Patrick Gitter picks him up on that outside.
Down the back straightaway for the final time as they get ready to work themselves into 3 and 4. Coming up to the top, here comes Davis in the 74 machine, trying to make a stab at it late into 3 and 4, but not going to work. They lose a lot of momentum on the top line. Gulata in control through 3 and 4. Does Johnson stick with him? Here comes the 33 machine of Vincent picking up.
Are they going to make a move? Coming to the line. 4.
Oh, hard crash.
98 to the line. 4, up, down. Gulata wins it.
Joseph Gulata bringing home the checkered flag here from Daytona. What a finish.
Incredible run by that 33 machine of Chris Vincent to bring that machine home third.
And Roger Pierce's attempt at getting the job done here tonight ends in a shower of sparks across the start-finish line as he loses a ton of spots. Huge impact with the outside wall. CFM Chevrolet getting it sealed away here tonight. Oh, watch that again. See right here. Outside line just not able to form the run that they were looking for. You see Pierce try to take it 3 here, trying to get past the 54 machine of Mullins. Just accidentally comes up into the nose of the 74 machine and a hard crash for a handful of cars, including Benefield, Davis, and Levine and Pierce. Have you ever, Tommy?
No, I've never, Sheldon. No, I've never. That was incredible. That was incredible keeping it to the green to the line. The thing that's most impressive to me is everybody keeping that thing clean and green that last 5 laps. I really didn't expect us to get that whole thing in green.
Say what, man, the Obi.
As the production truck has caught fire.
Yeah, a piece flew off of Pierce's car, and apparently the alcohol content was so high that it actually burned down the production truck. So what we're going to do right now, potentially, is something, I don't know. We've derailed. I'm used to the pictures being on the screen here. Now what we're going to go for is attempt to get the results pulled up as we look at them now. Joseph Gulata comes across the line first over Brian Johnson, followed by Chris Vincent in third. 4th place going to Randy Mullins with Daniel Wiles sneaking away at top 5 here. 6th place going to Sean Conklin with Corey Moore, who I mentioned all night, sneaks his way up into 7th. 8th place going to Patrick Gitter, Brandon Pasalacqua, and Alexander Carr round out your top 10, Tommy.
Incredible run for Tim Wortman in that 26 machine to bring it home 11th. Great recovery after that wall contact on the white flag for Austin Edstrom to bring it home 12th. John Bender 13th, Adam Benefield 14th, Justin Levine 15th, and the 74 of Chris Davis is 16th. Roger Pierce 17th, Paul Ferradani is 18th, Lou Christian is 19th, and rounding out your top 20 is Bryce Renier in that 41 car.
And bringing it home 21st place is going to be Paul Gallimore, followed by Joshua Hyatt, Richard Kleiman, Matt DiCiani, and Joseph Kazi up to 25th. 26th place going to Paul Hill with Greg Carr, bringing home 27th. 28th going to Craig Johnson. And rounding out your top 30 is going to be Chris Crosby and Nicholas Isaacs.
And then to round out your field was Reese Schaefer, and we've lost the rest of the screen. Just rounding out the rest of your field is Reese Schaefer 31st, Jose Medina 32nd, Chris Johnson 33rd, Chris Hudson 34th, Alex Coffey 35th, and bringing out the back with no laps turned is that 22 of Randy Bell.
I tell you, normally I don't hammer on it, but what a heartbreaking turn of events for Chris Hudson. Showed so much pace at the start of the race and just shows nothing at the end of it after getting caught up in an early wreck. But early wrecks out of the way, we're going to bring that top 3 up in here. We're going to start out with our 3rd place finisher, sitting here with the old double dale machine of Chris Vincent himself after, man, what an exciting last lap. How'd you find yourself in 3rd, buddy?
Luck, I guess. Chris Davis, I was pushing him most of the race. He went to the high side to try to get a run. I didn't have enough room to slide up to push him, so I just continued on the bottom. And I was content with third. I didn't need to try to make it too exciting at the end.
Well, it was definitely an exciting finish nonetheless, though. I mean, you look pretty good out there running, around that top 10 all race long. Tell me, how'd you feel about the package and the racing tonight?
Oh, Kenny and Team Watson put in great setup this week. You got Brandon that helped on the qualifying set. We had a really good car this week. Easy to drive. Most comfortable car I've ever driven.
After the podium finish here tonight, who do you want to shout out and thank for tonight's performance?
I'd like to thank Team Watson for producing good sets every week. Beast Mode for letting me drive with them. My wife and kids for letting me sit in the sim for as many hours a day I do.
Well, Chris, thanks for popping up
You guys
here and chatting.
Had a great show.
Well, we appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming up here and chatting with us after, I'm sure, a very mentally exhausting night here at Daytona.
Yeah, I need another shower.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to hand it on over to Tommy Gossett with our second place finish here this evening, Brian Johnson.
Brian, I didn't think you could hold on with that fuel. What were you thinking when you charged up there to that lead on that last green flag run we had? What was in your mind there? Were you just hoping for a yellow, or could you make it on fuel the whole time?
Hey, hey guys. Yeah, I was praying for a yellow. I needed it bad. I was about 4 laps short. I knew I was going to be the sucker running up front. Myself and Chris, we marched up there. Everybody was trying to save fuel, so I figured I would get some track position. I knew we were going to have at least one more caution, so I was starting to get worried there for a little bit, and then one finally came out, and that was just enough to save the fuel I need to get to the end.
Well, your gamble definitely paid off getting that track position there. I've got to ask, how much fuel did you have when you crossed the line?
About a half a lap to the good.
Oh, yeah, you needed both of those yellows then, didn't you? You needed that money
sure
shift there.
Did. Yep.
Can't knock the strategy if it pays off. So who all do you got to thank tonight for that amazing run up to second, Brian?
Yeah, shout out to Randy for putting on the league. Brandon, does a fantastic job too. Josh, the boys at Paradigm Motorsports. Like to thank OB Builders for sponsoring the league. Southern Spiral Pipe, and of course you guys up in the booth. You guys do a fantastic job every week.
Well, we appreciate it, Brian, and a good run tonight, and we hope to see you up here for Darlington.
Absolutely, and congrats to Joseph and Chris on the podium. Thanks, guys.
For sure. Sheldon, I'm going to throw it back to you to round out with our winner, Joseph Galata.
And sitting here with tonight's OB Builders Cup Series winner from Daytona. Man, how's that feel to hear, Joseph?
With the week that I've had racing these things, man, I couldn't think this was gonna actually happen this week. It feels really good. It feels really good. I mean, we sponsored this race. I honestly, you don't know if you're gonna win one of these things from the start of this thing. So, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, what a week it has been, I know, for both of us, because I think you and I have both ended up on the flatbed more often than anything this week. I mean, just how good, it feels great to win at Daytona. How's this feel for the momentum going forward, though? Because I've noticed the pickup here in pace the past couple weeks for that 98 machine. How you feeling going into Darlington next week?
People should be scared. That's all I'll say. The car is on rails.
Well, I am absolutely nervous to see what that looks like next week in officials. But to round it all out here for the night, who do you want to thank and shout out? And also, how hard are you going to burn it down tonight?
Well, it's a Thursday night. It's a school night. I got to wake up for work in the morning. So probably not much. I mean, other than the burnouts that I did on the front stretch. But yeah, I'd like to thank, Brian Johnson for giving me those pushes at the end. Pat really laying it in on my bumper with that last restart and getting me up into this position to go fight for the win. And, Paul Hill, everybody at CFM that helped test and build this car with me. That's really it.
Well, Joseph,
Thank you, guys.
And thank you for coming up here and chatting with us tonight. Congrats on the big win, man. And looking forward to seeing the terror that you're going to show us next week at Darlington.
You got it.
As we get ready to wind down our coverage here tonight from Daytona for the OB Builders Cup Series, Tommy, just talk me through it, man. What are your thoughts here?
You know, I don't think we could have had a Daytona race be much better than that one with this package. We saw it all. We saw them get strung out for a little bit and train around the bottom. We saw some good side-by-side racing, a little bit of 3-wide back there mid-pack, but, you know, just a typical OB Builders Cup Series performance. Good, clean, hard racing.
Well, I definitely enjoyed what we saw there, especially at the end. You know, the train, not my favorite part, but those closing 15 laps, man, some of the most intense racing I think I've seen in a while, especially with this package that we have, which was a massive curveball for the competitiveness of the series. But from the entire Grid Vision team, we'd like to thank you for watching and participating in our chat. For more information on getting your league broadcasted or starting your career in broadcasting, contact us on Facebook, X, or email us at info@gridvision.live. Special thanks to Andrew Calderon IV of Whiplash Sim Cams, providing the cams used on today's broadcast. As well, congratulations again to Joseph Gulata for the big win tonight from Daytona. This has been Sheldon Atkins. I've been joined in the booth by Tommy Gossett, as well as Austin Derbyshire, and pushing all the buttons down there, Karen Derbyshire. And we will see you next time on The Grid.